Strange and Scary Mysteries of the Month, July 2017. Strange and Scary Mysteries of the Month is a compilation of the weird, disturbing, and downright baffling stories currently happening in our world. From UFOs and serial killers to ancient sites, mysterious creatures, and even ghosts. These are the Strange and Scary Mysteries of the Month for July 2017. Number 5. Human trafficker kills 400 girls. Mass murder and serial killings might seem like something lifted from criminal television and Hollywood movies, but real life is often more disturbing than any of those. British investigative reporter Ross Kemp is known for his award-winning documentaries. Recently he made one that disturbed and nearly drove him to tears when he tracked down a human trafficker and convinced him to go on camera for an interview. Going by the name Mr. Khan, the facts and information he shares are utterly horrific. During the interview, Khan discusses his experiences in human trafficking and selling mostly young children and girls. He's been in the business for only 7 years and estimates that he has already trafficked anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000 girls. He reveals they often go to poor communities and areas where they select real beauties, and then they are auctioned off and go to the highest bidder. It's estimated that more than 20 million people are victims of human trafficking. More than 26% of them are children, and 55% are women. These women and girls are often sold into sex slavery, and many of them are eventually killed. In one instance, Mr. Khan admits that he has killed somewhere between 400 and 500 victims, so many that he has lost count. When Kemp asked if Khan ever returned any girls, he said no. If they try to run away or cannot be sold, they are simply killed and then buried. Khan admitted he had 75 traffickers under him currently and was under investigation for over 25 offenses. However, not once has he been tried for any of them. Human trafficking is a real problem that only grows year by year. Women and young children in impoverished communities are most susceptible to these crimes. There's many more people like Mr. Khan and sometimes organizations bigger than his who continue to operate in many parts of the world every single day. Number 4. 24-hour serial killer suspect finally arrested. Serial killers usually spread out their crimes over a longer period of time, days, weeks, months, and sometimes even years. But on occasion, there are those who kill in such a short span of time it leaves people shaken and the police baffled. One such incident recently happened in Ohio. 45-year-old George Brinkman Jr. went on an apparent killing spree, murdering 5 people in just a 24-hour period. The first 3 victims were Suzanne Taylor, who was 45, 21-year-old Taylor Pfeiffer, and her 18-year-old sister Kylie. Suzanne and her 2 daughters were found dead inside their home in North Royalton, Ohio. It was apparent Suzanne had died from multiple stab wounds, but her 2 daughters had no obvious signs as to what caused their death. The bodies were found inside the master bedroom with the covers pulled over them as if they were tucked into bed. The bodies were discovered at 8 p.m. on a Sunday night when a family friend came over to visit, and it's believed they may have been dead since the previous day. Brinkman would go on to kill again. 10 miles away in Lake Township, he entered the home of Rogel and Roberta John. Brinkman had known the Johns for a long time, considered a family friend, and even once dated Rogel's daughter. The Johns trusted him enough that he had been hired to house sit for them while the couple was away on vacation. They arrived back home on Sunday, but when the Johns' son hadn't heard from them, he dropped by the home to check. He went there on Monday afternoon and found the dog inside barking and saw his parents' luggage by the stairs. He found the couple dead under their blankets inside their bedroom. They had been shot at close range multiple times. Brinkman was finally arrested after an hour-long standoff where he barricaded himself in a home in the area. Police are unsure if the Johns and the Taylors are connected, but apparently Brinkman had been good friends with Suzanne Taylor since high school. After his arrest, he was charged with 3 counts of murder and kidnapping and 1 count of tampering with evidence. An arrest warrant was also issued for him for the Lake Township deaths of the Johns, and he's currently incarcerated awaiting trial. Number 3. Nazca Mummy. The internet was buzzing after hearing about the supposed discovery of the three-fingered Nazcan mummy. A video produced by Gaia Inc. circulated online showing a group of researchers handling a newly discovered mummy. The figure's body is similar to a human, but it has an elongated skull similar to those found in the Nazca Valley. It also has almond-shaped eye sockets instead of round, and only 3 fingers and toes that are also elongated. The video shows UFO and paranormal journalist Jamie Musan and also Russian biophysicist Dr. Konstantin Korotkov. The latter invented the gas discharge evaluation that's said to capture energy fields escaping from humans and even souls leaving the bodies of those who have passed away. Those examining the mummy comment that the gray-white color comes from the drying powder that was used to preserve it. The creature is shown in a balled-up fetal position similar to that of most mummified remains discovered. If unfurled, it's estimated that the humanoid figure is about 5.5 feet tall. A small tissue sample was secured for carbon dating, and it showed that it dates from 245 to 410 AD. A CAT scan was also conducted and showed it has several additional joints on the fingers and toes as compared to those in humans. DNA testing is underway, according to the specialist in the video. They're doing it to confirm whether this is a new type of human that has been left undiscovered for centuries, or if it is perhaps of extraterrestrial origins. Many have been crying foul and screaming hoax at the discovery, but the truth is we don't know if it's real or not just yet. If it is real, the possibility and what it would mean for the human species is very exciting to think about. Number 2. Michelle Carter guilty. Known as a landmark case, 20-year-old Michelle Carter was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter by a Massachusetts court after she encouraged her boyfriend Conrad Roy III to kill himself. 18-year-old Conrad killed himself by committing suicide through carbon monoxide poisoning in 2014. The case shocked many, and is revolutionary as it's the first where someone has been found guilty for manslaughter using text messaging. The couple were frequently in touch with each other like normal teenagers do. Conrad suffered from depression and had talked about committing suicide several times prior to the incident. At first, Carter was sympathetic to her boyfriend, but in the months leading up to his death, she was actively encouraging him to go ahead and do it. Text messages and phone calls between the two showed Carter would berate him if he made up excuses or put it off. It came to a point where he ended up apologizing to her for not having gone through with it. Her text messages to him even showed she suggested options on how he could die. She said, "Take 10 Benadryls, and then wait 10 minutes, then take all the Tylenol." Or, "Hang yourself, jump off a building, stab yourself." Carter herself has personal issues and was taking medication as well. Her defense argues she was involuntarily intoxicated while taking the drugs, altering her capacity to make rational decisions. But the judge and jury didn't buy it. The guilty verdict hanged on one self-incriminating fact. Carter apparently texted and told friends she was on the phone with Roy while he was committing suicide, and at one point, Roy even stepped out of his truck because he was afraid. But then Carter ordered him to get back in the truck. She also told friends she could have done something but didn't, and never bothered to call his family or the police until his body was eventually found in a Kmart parking lot. This is the first case where someone was found guilty for manslaughter on a suicide case, even though they weren't physically present at the crime scene. The judge points out that even though Carter wasn't actually there to cause harm, her words via text and phone were with Roy. And the fact that Roy got out of the truck indicating he wasn't ready to go through with it, then being ordered to get back in, indicated she had a hand in his death. Michelle Carter's sentencing will be on August 3rd, where she could receive up to 20 years in prison. Number 1. Twilight Killers, youngest in the UK. In a case that shocked the nation, teen killers Kim Edwards and her boyfriend Lucas Markham, both 15 years old, brutally killed Liz and Katie Edwards in their home. The victims were the mom and sister of killer Kim. Their bodies were found 2 days after they were murdered on April 15, 2016. Both victims were brutally stabbed and had their throats cut. After the couple finished off the victims, they took a bath together to wash off the blood, watched the vampire film Twilight while eating ice cream, and then had sex. At the time of the murder, the couple's names were withheld because restriction was in place, but it has since been lifted and the pair as well as their images have been released. Weeks after they were arrested, the then 14-year-old had no remorse for the death of her mom or sibling. She later told psychiatrists she was a bit sad, but was glad her mother was gone. Apparently, the plan to kill her family was hatched 3 days earlier while the two were at a McDonald's. Before the incident, Lucas repeatedly asked Kim if she was sure about going through with it, and she urged him on. They entered the home on the night of the murder with 4 knives wrapped in a shirt that was placed in Lucas's backpack. He attacked the mother first, stabbing her directly in the throat, and then pinning her down on the bed before stabbing her another 7 times. He then asked Kim if she wanted to go through with the plan, and she indicated yes, even telling him to take off his shoes so he wouldn't make noise. Lucas proceeded to 13-year-old Katie's room and stabbed her twice in the throat before smothering her with a pillow. When they were arrested the following day, Kim fully admitted to the killings and gave a chilling and detailed account of exactly what happened. They are Britain's 2 youngest double murderers ever. They were initially sentenced to 20 years, but this has been lowered to 17.5, each because of their age. So there were the strange and scary mysteries of the month for July 2017. Every day, strange and scary stories are happening all around the world. These are just a handful, but there's still so much more to discover. If you enjoyed this video, then please support us on Patreon, and remember to subscribe to our channel. We have many new scary mysteries coming out. Number 5. Human trafficker kills 400 girls. Mass murder and serial killings might seem like something lifted from criminal television and Hollywood movies, but real life is often more disturbing than any of those. British investigative reporter Ross Kemp is known for his award-winning documentaries. Recently, he made one that disturbed and nearly drove him to tears when he tracked down a human trafficker, so many that he has lost count. When Kemp asked if Khan ever returned any girls, he said no. If they try to run away or cannot be sold, they are simply killed and then buried. Khan admitted he had 75 traffickers under him currently and was under investigation for over 25 offenses. However, not once has he been tried for any of them. Human trafficking is a real problem that only grows year by year. Areas where they select real beauties and then they are auctioned off and go to the highest bidder. It's estimated that more than 20 million people are victims of human trafficking. More than 26% of them are children, and 55% are women. These women and girls are often sold into sex slavery, and many of them are eventually killed. In one instance, Mr. Khan admits that he has killed somewhere between 400 and 500 victims, and convinced him to go on camera for an interview. Going by the name Mr. Khan, the facts and information he shares are utterly horrific. During the interview, Khan discusses his experiences in human trafficking and selling mostly young children and girls. He's been in the business for only 7 years and estimates that he has already trafficked anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000 girls. He reveals they often go to poor communities and areas. Strange and Scary Mysteries of the Month, July 2017. Strange and Scary Mysteries of the Month is a compilation of the weird, disturbing, and downright baffling stories currently happening in our world. From UFOs and serial killers to ancient sites, mysterious creatures, and even ghosts. These are the Strange and Scary Mysteries of the Month for July 2017.